Welcome. Today, we're diving into a prophecy that is, well, truly chilling. We're going to unpack just 6 verses from Isaiah chapter 14, and in them, we'll see the complete and utter annihilation of a king and his empire. It's a fall so absolute that, well, not even a tomb is left behind. Let's get right into it. But first, let's start with a question to really set the stage here. What do you think a king's greatest shame is? I mean, for rulers who spend their lives building empires and massive monuments, legacy is everything, right? The goal is to be remembered forever in glory. So it makes sense that the greatest possible shame would be the total opposite, to be erased, forgotten, and dishonored, especially in death. And that is exactly the fate we're about to explore. And this slide right here, it just perfectly captures the heart of the whole passage. On one side, you have the standard for pretty much every other king. They lie in glory, each in their own tomb. But on the other side, you have the shocking fate of the king of Babylon. He's just cast out, denied even a grave. So this is the central mystery we're unpacking today. Why was his end so different? To really grasp the depth of this dishonor, we first have to understand the honor he was denied. So this first section is all about the standard for a royal burial, which is what makes what happened to the king of Babylon so utterly shocking. Okay, let's start with verse 18. The text sets a baseline for us. All the kings of the nations lie in glory, every one in his own house. Now, this house he's talking about, that's their tomb, their sepulcher. These were often stately monuments built to honor their memory and lock in their legacy for all time. This was just the universal expectation for royalty. Now, this prophecy isn't just floating in the abstract. It has a likely historical anchor. Many scholars believe this passage is pointing right at Belshazzar, the last king of Babylon. You see, he was killed the very night the city was conquered by Cyrus the Great. And in the absolute chaos of a city falling, there would have been zero time for a fancy royal burial. And let's be honest, the victorious Persians certainly weren't going to go out of their way to give him one. All right, moving on, the prophecy really starts to intensify. It goes from just the absence of a tomb and zooms right in on the visceral, graphic details of the king's physical body. It paints a really powerful and, frankly, grim picture. So verse 19 kicks off with this incredibly potent metaphor. The king's body is like an abominable branch. So what does that mean? Just imagine a rotten, diseased branch being pruned from a tree. It's not just cut off. It's seen as worthless, disgusting, something you get rid of so it doesn't infect the rest of the tree. It's cast aside to be burned. That's the image here. And the prophecy just keeps layering on these images. He's compared to the raiment of those that are slain, so like the bloody, torn up, worthless rags stripped from a corpse on a battlefield. And then it gets even worse. He is as a carcass trodden under feet. His body is just left out, unburied, trampled into the mud. I mean, you can't get much more desecrated than that. So, the big question is, why? Why this horrific fate? Well, verse 20 gives us the answer, straight up. He's denied a place among the other kings because of his own actions. It says he was a tyrant who destroyed thy land and slain thy people. So his punishment is the direct, and you could say fitting, consequence of his crimes. And this is a really crucial point. This isn't just about a dishonored body. It's about the complete and total erasure of a legacy. The text is very explicit. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Their name, their memory, it's all going to be wiped out. The dishonor actually extends beyond death to completely obliterate their entire historical footprint. So, this idea of a wiped out legacy brings us to the next stage of the prophecy, because the curse, it doesn't just stop with the king. Nope, it extends to his children and his entire family line, making sure that his evil dynasty is brought to a permanent final end. Verse 21 is just chilling. It commands, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. The imagery here is of a slaughterhouse, as if his descendants are being lined up to be slain. This isn't just a political defeat we're talking about, it's a generational extermination. And the consequences of this slaughter are spelled out with just devastating clarity. First, they shall not rise, meaning their political power is broken forever. Second, they shall not possess the land, so their inheritance is gone. And third, they shall not fill the world with cities, which makes sure their cultural influence is utterly extinguished. Verse 22 really drives home the totality of this judgment. The declaration is to cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew. You hear that echo of the abominable branch being cut off? It's the same idea. Every single trace of the royal lineage, every potential heir, every memory is to be completely removed from existence. So, from the king's corpse to his children, the prophecy now expands to its widest possible scope, the very land of Babylon itself. The curse becomes environmental, literally transforming a great empire into a desolate wasteland. The prophecy says that Babylon will become a possession for the bittern. Now, nobody's 100% sure what animal a bittern is, but scholars agree it's some kind of creature you'd find in desolate, ruined places. Think porcupines or owls. The main point is that the once mighty capital city will become a habitat for wild animals, a symbol of its complete and total ruin. The text also mentions pools of water, which has a really stunning historical fulfillment. When Cyrus conquered Babylon, his army famously diverted the Euphrates River to get into the city. Well, historical sources suggest the water never fully returned to its original channel, leaving huge parts of the region permanently flooded and marshy, exactly as the prophecy foretold. It's pretty incredible. And now for the final and I think most amazing image, the besom of destruction. So what is a besom? It's basically an old-fashioned broom, the kind made of twigs tied to a stick, like a classic witch's broom. The image here is of a divine hand literally sweeping the land clean, just removing every single trace of Babylon's civilization, leaving absolutely nothing behind. The final line from verse 23 just lands with incredible force. I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. This makes it crystal clear. This wasn't just some accident of history or a simple military defeat. The prophecy frames this as a deliberate, total, and final act of divine judgment. So, what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? These 6 verses depict a fall that is so absolute that nothing is left. Not a tomb, not an heir, not a city, not even a name. It's a really powerful meditation on tyranny, on justice, and on the ultimate fragility of any legacy that's built on cruelty and evil.